Media personality Andrew Tate reportedly texted his rape accuser, quote, "I love raping you," and described strangling her on an audio recording shared with the UK police. The police told her there was an ounce of doubt that prevented them from prosecuting him. Tate was detained by Romanian police in December, and a court in Romania's capital, Bucharest, has upheld his 30-day arrest on charges of organized crime, human trafficking, and rape. That's according to AP News.
We're going to play one of the voice notes he sent the woman regarding his assault on her. Warning, this is a little graphic, so don't listen to this if you don't feel like doing that.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I loved how much you hated it. Turn me on. Why am I like that? Why? I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet.
This is what conservative commentator Candace Owens had to say about Tate.
I do not believe that Andrew Tate is a rapist. I don't. I think that is what people like to accuse men of when they're trying to take them down.
And she does, now to be fair, she goes on, that's a longer clip, and I watched the rest of it, and I didn't completely disagree with what she was saying. She said that she doesn't approve of, what is going on there, his little harem he has. But everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and we have to kind of wait and see for what exactly this kind of situation is. And I have urged a little bit of caution here, because I think Andrew Tate is a very gross individual. I think the effort to make him a kind of a hero or a figure for young men to look up to was very bad. I think he's a con artist. I'm saying bad things about him. It is true, however, at least in the U.S., that there has been an effort on the part of law enforcement to use sex trafficking as this catch-all term. Craigslist was shut down over that accusation. There's a lot of online policing of bad behavior that is not like literally people being kidnapped. Frankly, I mean, as a libertarian, I support this. Maybe you have a different view or other people have different views. Consensual prostitution, which I think is not a good thing, but I don't think should be criminalized, being portrayed by law enforcement actually as sex trafficking. And usually involves, in the U.S. context, arresting a lot of vulnerable young women, rather than the people who, if you're going to argue someone mistreated someone in this circumstance, is not helpful to victims at all. Now, I don't know that that's going on here at all. I just know that has been the case in the U.S. context. Obviously, what he's describing on that call sounds like sexual assault. It's
definite. I mean, as long as he's speaking literally and not rhetorically, it's definitionally rape. He's saying, I liked that you didn't want me to have sex with you.
It could be a safe word scenario or something like that.
It could be. But here's the problem with could be's, would be's, and should be's.
Okay.
The reason it is very reasonable to say that there have been some overreaches in the realm of Me Too, and that it is silly to presumptively believe women, understanding that the reason that the believe women, hashtag originated because women were categorically never believed. I think it probably makes sense to sit in a space of, let's create an environment for law enforcement to do what they need to do to get to the bottom of truth without jumping to conclusions. I think that's perfectly reasonable. That's not what Candace Owens said. What Candace Owens said is, I don't think Andrew Tate is a rapist. Mm-hmm. I don't think Andrew Tate is a rapist is an affirmative claim that Andrew Tate is not a rapist. Not, we don't know yet, let's not jump to conclusions. These claims have been weaponized in the past. Let's reserve space for whatever the criminal justice system decides. And so she's really going out on a limb there and saying that she claims on the basis of some evidence or no evidence or just vibes and feelings that Andrew Tate is not a rapist. And I hope that, that doesn't age as poorly as it seems as it might.
There's also there is a huge difference between being accused of sexual misconduct or sexual assault and sex trafficking. How with the people there lured under false pretenses, were they held against their will? All those things are going to factor into, it seems likely to me that Romanian authorities can find some charge to stick him with, whether that will be, what's described as people chained to radiators or something. I don't know.
None of us know.
Right, none of us know.
But choices are being made about who to presumptively believe. And again,
I
think it's deeply hypocritical to say you shouldn't jump to conclusions and believe the woman, while at the same time you're going to jump to conclusions and believe Andrew Tate.
Yeah, so the part of that we played I don't agree with. But it is, I mean, the right even accuses everyone of sex trafficking. I mean, the whole
They most
pizza,
certainly do.
Well, and right, so does everybody. So it's not wrong to say that that is an accusation that gets thrown around to discredit people, and it wildly disproportionate to anything going on.
Yeah, I would simply not weigh in. I think it is not difficult for me sitting here as an independent observer who has no special knowledge of what's gone on in that case to simply say, we'll see what the police decide. We'll see what the investigation figures out. What I'm hearing on that tape is disturbing. And what we all know from his public statements in the past about hitting women and his website where he describes how he coerces women into these kinds of relationships that, again, people in the know describe as sex trafficking, exploitative type relationships, is evidence that I wouldn't want to be leveraged against me. I would not be a happy camper if all of that were out there in the world about me. However, we'll wait and see what happens. And it's interesting that Candace Owens has decided to weigh in on Team Tate. We'll see if history redeems her or not. Wait and see.
But again, in the U.S. context, at least, there are all these organizations that say that have huge statistics for how many people have been like sex trafficked every year, and they're always inflated because they're including, again, prostitution, which many people think should be illegal, but it's not coercive or forced from the people doing it.
Yeah,
it's
look,
very
we live in a country and a world where sex crimes are underreported, underprosecuted, and perpetrators are under charged and convicted. So I'm not going to participate in any kind of narrative that says that we're talking too much about the victims of sex crimes, even if there are overreaches and politicizations of it, the same way there's overreaches and politicization of every single thing. But it cannot be used as a political tool to make it more difficult for victims to get accountability from accusers when we barely have even cracked the door open to even acknowledging the extent to which sex crimes are rampant in our society. The number of rape kits that go untested every year, the number of crimes that simply go unreported. So it's very difficult. I am concerned about the overreaches of Me Too to the extent that it's made people take these real claims less seriously. And so I'll agree with you there.
I'm not talking about this as a Me Too overreach so much as a law enforcement overreach. There has been a lot of law enforcement overreach on this subject.
I on what subject specifically? Because sex crimes are
not sex crimes, sex
incredibly.
Trafficking.
I don't follow this. Maybe you know information that I don't know, and maybe that's true. But again, Andrew Tate, the information is out there. I think it's a really bold choice to come out and say, I don't think someone who was on tape describing themselves forcibly having sex with someone is a rapist. If I heard someone say, I enjoy forcibly having sex with you, I at very least would sit that one out. But hey, me and Candace Owens have different journalistic styles, and again, we'll see where the chips fall.
I think I also want to wait to see what they come up with. It would not at all surprise me if they find very compelling evidence, based on what we just heard, that he committed a sexual assault.
We'll see.
We'll see. That's a wrap for us for this week. Well, we got the whole week done already. It's Thursday.
Yeah, we're champions.
If you missed any of our content the last few days, there's no need to fret. We will be re-upping this week's highlights for tomorrow, and we'll also be back next week to bring you all the updates on the news, including if I ever find my missing scooters. I know you're all on the edge of your seats about that. Tell us all in the comments what you feel about my new glasses. If you want to push me into a locker.
Please validate this man and his glasses. I swear, every guest, they're judged on the basis today about how quickly they recognize that you have a new accessory.
Oh, you're going to make me sound very vain.
No. Look, Robby, we're both Leos. I joke about it because I empathize with it. And I see myself not just reflected in you, but also quite literally now reflected in your shiny new frames. They're great. I love them. I'm a big fan, Robby. It's
Thank
great.
you, Briahna. I was waiting all show for you to say that.
All right, I'm happy to validate. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who prefer to listen while on the go, you know we're available anywhere you listen to podcasts and also on Roku and other streaming services. So there is literally no excuse in the entire world for you not to tune in. We are everywhere. Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye.